All right, we've got we're talking the Stephon Diggs trade, which this is going to be an interesting one because Diggs is a malcontent. He's a diva, and he's kind of a red ass. And his teammates really haven't loved him, even back to his days in Minnesota, where this little piece of video came out.
I'm actually a great guy.
There's actually seems to be a few guys that don't think that.
Feel differently about me?
Yeah.
You just don't know me well enough.
That was on a little video bit they did, but they went around asking teammates of the Vikings which teammate they would want their sister to date and which ones they would not want their sister to date. Overwhelmingly, Stephon Diggs was the
Diggs,
no.
Diggs, Stephon,
no,
Diggs, Stephon,
no,
Diggs,
no,
Stephon,
no.
Diggs.
I'm a great guy. I don't think so. But I have a lot of teammates that are really good guys that I would have never wanted them to date my sister either.
Sure.
So there's, in fairness to Stephon Diggs,
there's room there.
Yeah. But what does this do to the Buffalo Bills, which we've seen a ton of turnover in that roster? And a lot of it was because of the financials, but it also is now you're looking at it. All right, who is their number one receiver? They got Khalil Shakir, Chris Samuel, Mac Hollins, Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox. Two of those are tight ends.
Yes.
That is.
Remember, Gabe Davis signed with Jacksonville. He's a free agent.
They have got a ton of turnover there. And so your running backs are James Cook, Ty Johnson as well. This is more of we're not even talking about the defense, which we saw the turnover that they had with both Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer leaving.
Mm-hmm.
This is a drastically different team that Buffalo is going to be rolling out. Are they still the favorites in the AFC East?
Feels like that division has taken a pretty massive hit in general.
The Dolphins had their turnover because of the books too.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the Jets are, what are they going to be?
If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they
should run kind of through the division, right?
They should be the favorite to win the division. But if you look at the Vegas odds right now, it is still Buffalo on top. And
I think that has a lot to do with you don't yet know the actual health of Aaron Rodgers.
And I think that is a huge one. I mean, just winning the AFC East. Buffalo is plus 160. Miami is plus 165. The Jets are plus 240 to win the AFC East. The Patriots are awful.
Yeah,
they're awful. They are.
They aren't even a road. They aren't even a road bump in the division.
No.
Do they win a game in the division?
Yeah, they'll yes.
They'll stumble and catch Miami when they come to
if Miami comes to New England in
December,
they'll
lose that game.
Candy ass Dolphins will lose because we saw what they do in the cold.
And that'll take the Patriots out of the number one pick.
Well, you're gonna want to mark this. We're gonna keep this because when the Dolphins go to Foxborough in December and win by 40, we just want to revisit that real quick. We're gonna revisit that one.
I'll send the note to Rust.
Thank you, but. This is, I mean, it's not one wide receiver is not the big change for whether or not the Bills will win the AFC East. I think in totality, the turnover that they have had in Buffalo, I think then you look at it and you go, all right, this is just another chink in the armor to where this thing truly will be a 3-team race in the AFC East.
Yeah. I mean, I look at this and I go, it's less turnover and more exodus. Like turnover, involves other things coming in. Like what has come in to replace the back end of their defense? What has come in to help bolster their wide receiver? What has come in to help bolster their offensive line because they lost Morris, their center too? Like you go down the list, and you're like, okay, yeah, no, you get turnover where things kind of change over, but like this is guys mostly just leaving and not even replacement level guys. Filling the gaps.
Well, I look at it and I go, okay. You mentioned center, really deep at center, right? Mm-hmm. They own the 28th, 42nd, and 60th picks. They got 2 second-round picks and a first-round pick now.
They probably get one.
So you can get a center. You got 11 deep in the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the bona fide number one day one receiver, but with 42, you're going to get or 60, you can get a really damn good receiver, and then in that, whether you covet a safety or you can get value on a guy, 42 or 60, you're kind of in that range where they're going to be able to get those guys. But here's the problem with Buffalo is that those guys aren't the ones that push you over the top. You're going to be relying on rookies.
Yeah.
in those positions where there's going to be a learning curve at all three of those positions.
If you talk about the possible
and where they're drafting, I should say.
slots based on where guys are picked right now. PFF starts at 40 with Troy Franklin from Oregon, 47 for Roman Wilson, 49 for Ricky Pearsall from Florida, and 52 for Jermaine Burton from Alabama. Ladd McConkey comes in at number 32, but I don't think you're targeting him as a number one. I mean, of the Franklin, Wilson, Pearsall, Burton group, who would you most likely target as a number one, though?
I mean, it's either Franklin or Wilson.
I think I lean towards Wilson maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
If we're
I think
being
both of them are going to be really good in the NFL,
Yeah.
but here's the in a system where you have Josh Allen, I think that is that right there eases a lot of what they will be, because you're not going to be force-fed a ball. We've seen that from Josh Allen. But something tells me that I don't think Buffalo's done, right? Just looking at the incompletes that they have across their roster, there are guys in trades to be had where, whether it's a guy like T. Higgins, in Cincinnati, are you gonna take the flyer and say we got a window that's open, and that pick is not going to get, or that value is not going to be a high draft pick?
Could this also be a way for Buffalo to pivot? Because, like, obviously they had to get rid of a lot of their roster because money-wise it didn't make sense, and you keep losing to Kansas City or you keep losing to Cincinnati. So what did they do? They have two great pass-catching tight ends. They kind of moved away from the let's let Josh Allen chuck it 40 times a game. Let's try and be more precise. They have a good running back in Cooks. Maybe this is them making a pivot to younger guys, but also doing more of a dink and dunk style, asking him to make the short and medium throws.
Slow down the offense, protect the defense.
Right. When you have the opportunity to go long, obviously you can still take that. It's Josh Allen. But when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, when he's not making mistakes, your window is never really closed. He's a top 5 QB in the league right now.
But this is where, you have a little bit of that apprehension, though, and that's where it's kind of that slippery slope, is that you're then asking Josh Allen to be a quarterback that his howitzer that's attached to his shoulder is push the ball downfield is where he's at his best, right? And so, when you look at the guys that, Danny, you mentioned, which guy is going to be the vertical threat there?
Mm-hmm.
And look, Ladd McConkey, he feasted underneath, but his 40 at the combine,
bit surprising.
White boy could fly. And we've seen with both, Troy Franklin had this innate ability to get open downfield. He is not a 4-3 guy.
No.
But he is a setup receiver where how many times, and this is the knock on Bo Nix, right? How many times did we see misconnections between Troy Franklin and Bo Nix when he's open downfield and the ball wasn't put in the right spot? I can think of 3 or 4, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you get behind the defense, 3 or 4 is a lot of missed opportunities there. And I remember one of them was against Colorado, where nobody was in like 10 yards of Troy Franklin. And he has that ability. Wilson has that ability too.
He came in. For those that don't know, Wilson ran a 4.39 at the combine while at 200 pounds.
And
that's the thing, is he did it while being bigger.
This is where I go, I think Buffalo's rolling the dice there, and where you can make that immediate impact. And this is that devaluation of the receiver position that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, right? Where these guys are getting paid $30 million for the elite in the high end. But I think a lot of teams are reframing and going, with the way the receivers are coming into the NFL,
is there that much difference
replacements
between the best wide receiver in the NFL and the 10th?
Yes. Yeah, because the top 5, the truly elite guys, your Justin Jeffersons, those guys are Jamar Chase. Those guys are on a completely different planet. Then when you get down to outside of that top 5, but here's the thing: I think your question 6 to 15. I don't think it is that drastically different. I truly don't. I don't think that drop off is as pronounced as it used to be. And that is where I think a lot of that line of thinking is shifting.
Well, here, take a look at this way, right? Tyreek Hill's number 1 in yards. Lamb 2, Amon-Ra St. Brown 3, Puka 4, A.J. Brown 5, DJ Moore 6, Ayuk 7, Nico Collins 8, Mike Evans 9, Amari Cooper 10. Who did I not just mention?
Well, Justin Jefferson, who was hurt, Jamar Chase was dinged up too because of Joe Burrow being out.
And Stephon Diggs. But that's kind of my point is
mean-
like you get through this list and you've got
But I think the elite receivers, they are different. They are.
They are.
The five. Those,
I'm not
the
taking it
top
away
five.
from those guys, but also the guys that like. If I said Amon-Ra St. Brown is your number one, are you mad at that?
No.
He's an absolute
No.
monster. That's what I mean. Like Mike Evans is still an absolute monster. Michael Pittman, if he actually gets a quarterback healthy for any period of time, can be an absolute monster for
Yep.
you.
And guys like DK Metcalf,
Yeah,
who are in that.
We got all the way
top
down this
10
list, and we didn't mention
top 10 receiver.
and we didn't
A.J.
mention
Brown.
Debo Samuel or Devontae Adams.
See, and that's where I'm going. Like 6 through 15, that drop off is not nearly as pronounced. Yeah, it used to be. That used to be it used to be a steep fall off from 6 to 10 to 11 to 15. It's not. It really isn't anymore. I think that you look at the NFL, you got 20 really damn good receivers in the NFL. 20,
which is nuts.
yeah. But those top 5, those guys
Don't
are
get me wrong.
special.
They're different, but I mean,
Special.
the drop off is not nearly as significant as it was, 10 years ago.
Yeah, from 6 to 10 to 11 to 15.
Yeah.
The top 5 are different. They're in a different
Sure.
different planet. So good.
Turns out.
Oh man, it's going to be a big question for the Buffalo Bills though, and I think a lot of people are selling the Bills stock, and in a division that it's going to be a tight race. It's going to come down to quarterback play. Is Aaron Rodgers healthy? Is Tua healthy? And can at times the Buffalo Bills get out of their own way? I think that this move was Stephon Diggs was a big reason why they got in their own way a lot of the times last season.